Each quarter tells a story, from Wall Street heavyweights to emerging disruptors. We break down the numbers, the reactions, and the moves that matter most. Real data, real insights, in real time. This is Earnings Central Live with Verified Investing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Earnings Central Live. My name is Lawton here with Verified Investing, and this is my show. I apologize ahead of time. I'm a little bit under the weather, so please forgive me. But today we have a couple stocks to talk about. We're going to be covering UPST, Robinhood, and Lyft. There's a bunch of stocks reporting earnings after the bell today around 4:05. However, and I'm super excited to announce this, guys, we've just launched earnings levels with Lawton, where you get all of my levels for every single major mover for the post-market and actually pre-market as well. Members of this already got all my levels around noon today, and they also have my levels for earnings tomorrow. Like McDonald's reports earnings tomorrow. Is not a really big mover, but a couple other stocks. But anyways, let's hop right into it, guys. First of all, if we could just talk about UPST, we can throw up that graphic for me here on UPST on Upstart. So Upstart Holdings, right? This is a stock that is expected to have an increased earnings per share about 80% year over year. We're anticipating a movement up to around 47 cents earnings per share. As far as their revenue, right, we're looking for a revenue increase around $288 to $289 million, an increase in 32% year over year. All right, if we could go to my charts, please. I'm going to show you my levels here on UPST, and we can put that slider for you guys down at the bottom. So write these down, okay, guys? Write these down. UPST comes out at 4:05. For support, three levels, 35, 45, 35, 36, and then 31.55. For resistance, my resistance is going to be 46.41 for that first aggressive level, around $48. $47.95 for that more standard level, and finally $50.45 for my more conservative level. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Robinhood. If we could throw up that graphic there for Robinhood and team. So Robinhood, we're expecting earnings per share around 63 cents, an increase about 17% year over year. In terms of revenue, we're looking at around $132 to $135 billion, an increase in about 30 to 33% year over year. Back to my charts, please, with the scroller. For Hood, my first level of support around $80.48. There's a previous gap fill I really like there, right, from the 4th of February. Secondary level of support, $72.63. That is a gap fill from the 12th of June to another one literally on the 5th of February. And finally, a tertiary gap fill around $68. For resistance, right, we're looking at around $95.78. Basically $96 for that first resistance level, then around $99.50, and then finally for resistance around $104.40. And it's interesting to note, guys, that on this chart, Hood is so beaten down. We know the software stocks have sold off about 30% in a few days, but in just 4 trading days, we are already up 17.5%. Finally, if I could please throw up that Lyft image for me, team. So on Lyft, the popular ride-sharing program, also releasing at 4:05. We're anticipating earnings per share up 20 to 30% year over year at around 12 to 32 cents. For revenue, we're looking at an increase in revenue, expecting an increase to up around 12 to 14% to $1,750,000,000 to $1.76 billion. Onto my chart and the scroller, please, for Lyft. On Lyft, my first level of support is going to be this level down here, around $15.20 for support, followed by $14.62 and then $13.86. For resistance, guys, I'm looking for a move to around $18.61, then followed by that nice whole round number of $19. Final level of resistance around $19.66. All right, back to me, team, please. So these should not have come out yet. They're going to come out in just a few minutes. We're talking about maybe like 4 minutes or so, right? So before we go any further, I would remind you guys that if you want to trade alongside me, to make sure you're trading in extended trading hours, okay? Extended trading hours. And then making sure to go a little lighter. Earnings can be extremely whippy, guys. A lot of volatility. Like I said previously, there are a couple other stocks reporting earnings like Pega and ALAB. However, I gave those to members. I'm going to show you guys an example of it later, and we'll see if any of those levels that were member exclusive actually hit. But anyways, we have about 3 minutes left until Hood and UPST and Lyft report earnings. And initially, UPST having a little sell here, down about 1%, not enough to indicate to me that earnings have come out yet. I know that some people in the chat, I know Fashion says that definitely a big sell-off for Hood. Well, that's what I've thought, right? We've all thought that, hey, this stock is so overextended, it one way or another, it favors a bounce, it favors a pullback. But the thing is, it doesn't matter how many trend lines, doesn't matter how overextended it is, earnings are earnings, right? And if the earnings are really good, at that point, it's going to move up. And if they're bad and miss expectations, they're going to tank, right? So or like it could come down to their guidance as well. Another thing to note, guys, as we have about 2 minutes left until these earnings come out, is that the first move isn't always the right move, right? We might see a stock move like UPST starting to push up here, guys. Looks like UPST reported slightly early. All right, nothing there on Lyft or Hood, right? But look here at UPST. The first move isn't necessarily the right move. The first level of resistance here on UPST is $46.41. Let's see if we can hit that level, then get a pullback, or just reverse all in itself. And look at that reversal, guys. Initially popping up and then pulling back. 35.45 is that first level of support. You saw it got all the way up here, then literally pulled back 12% in a single minute candle. And that's what I'm saying, guys. The first level isn't necessarily the correct level as Hood and Lyft haven't really moved yet. Let's see if UPST can get to our first support level if it continues lower. Looking at around $35.45. We have about 1 more minute until they're supposed to release earnings, but based on this movement, UPST looks like those earnings have already come out. Back to Hood and Lyft, not much happening there. We'll check on our member exclusive levels there slightly after. Wow, look at this, guys. UPST continue to push up. Look how whippy this is. Initially popping up significantly, pulling back 12%, back actually going negative, and now back to going green. And this is why I say it's important to go a little lighter on earnings, because these things can move significantly. All right, back to Robinhood and Lyft. Not much out yet, guys. We're still waiting on it. Still about 10 seconds until they're due for it. And this is where I need your help at home. If I'm looking at UPST and Hood or Lyft is moving, say Lawton, guys. Lawton, take a look. UPST is not doing anything, but Hood is moving. Switch there, okay? We are a team. So if you see something begin to move, let me know. Okay, there we go, Hood. Hood already pierced that first aggressive level of $80.50. And it looks like Lyft is coming down. 15.20 is that first level on Lyft. And looks like you're actually green, about a 50-cent bounce from my initial aggressive level there on Hood. See if you can't get continued moved higher. Back to Lyft. not quite hit that 1520 yet. Back to UPST, not a lot going on there. Here we go, guys, off to the races. Lyft got so close to that first aggressive level and then pulled back. Hood looks like that first aggressive level was pierced, but if you took that, you'd be about 2% in the money there, guys. Wow, great move, great pop there. But let's see if Hood can continue to push up, or we see a continued sell to that secondary level. Back to Lyft, looks like it's going to test that 1520 level that I did talk about previously. Back to Hood, just consolidating, just sitting at that $80.50 level. And whoever in the chat said Hood favored a sell-off, you might be right. And look at this, Lyft hitting that level, 1520. Now, will it get a bounce or move to my more standard level there, skipping that aggressive level? And it looks like UPST is not doing a whole lot there. Let's see Lyft continue to come down and hit that more standard level of entry. Good pop here from Hood, guys. Was in the money about $1. Could have taken $1. Yeah, UPST, great reversal, agreed. And look at Lyft. Got so close to that more standard level. I gave you guys the aggressive level. 1462 is that more standard level. Look at Hood, guys. Continue to push up. All right, about $1 in the money now on Hood if you took that aggressive level. However, if you're in Lyft, right, and you took that aggressive level, I would consider adding at this secondary level about 60 cents lower from that initial entry. So it hit that more standard level of 1462. Now the question is, do we see a bounce here on Lyft, or do we see a continued sell-off? Great pop so far on Hood, just sitting there at that level. Yep, absolutely. Lyft really selling off here. Good sell, about 13% down. And this is what I'm talking about, earnings. Earnings can be extremely whippy. You can see that you could be in the money, $100, out of the money, $1,000. Wow, this is a massive sell here on Lyft. 1386 is that final level of significant support that I am considering on Lyft. That's a more conservative level there on LYFT. Now the question is, does it get there and get a bounce, or does it bounce now? It very well could continue selling off as well. We know that earnings can be extremely volatile, right? We'll have price movement and then it'll float in that direction the rest of the day due to lack of volatility. But Lyft absolutely getting smoked here. That third level I gave you, that more conservative level, 1386, is my final level there on Lyft. It's a level that I'd like it for a longer term play, basically. Back to Hood, now going green. Still looks like it's having difficulty getting above this $81 level and staying above there. Lyft, let's see if we can get a reversal. Now I'm going to go take a look at some of the other stocks that members got, member exclusive stocks that I covered in the earnings trader. So first off, let's look at PEGA. PEGA. Unfortunately, it looks like it hasn't moved to any of those levels yet. And let's take out ALAB. Wow, look at this beautiful move, guys. My first shortable level on ALB was in 193. It hit there, guys. And members could have taken 11% from our level. Wow, 11% from our level on ALAB. Incredible, and pushing towards my first level for actually a long there on ALAB. So congratulations to anyone in that service. Great job, everyone. Mr. T, not options. No, I don't really trade options. I mostly stick to the actual stocks, but this is incredible reversal here on ALAB, guys. If you did take this in the service, congratulations. You got a nice payout. Could have taken 10 to 11%. Now, if you're in Lyft, you're just kind of sitting here waiting to see if it can continue to move. Unfortunately, didn't hit that tertiary level, that level I like for a longer term position, right? But the great thing is if you got in at the aggressive level and added at the more standard level, you'd be out of the money 3%, which is not bad. UPST performed exceptionally well. Yeah, it pushed up and then reversed, and now it's continuing higher. 46.41 is that first level of resistance. Back to Hood, chopping around that first aggressive level that I talked about previously. But nice so far. And it looks like PEGA, not anything being done there, but awesome there on ALAB. A huge win there on ALAB. I'm going to give Lyft another minute and a half and see what it's doing, see if it can play out. But the biggest thing to note on stocks like these, the report earnings, and I talk about it all the time. Let me turn on the volume for you. If you see here on the bottom, the volume spikes up initially, but starts to fade over time. After it starts to fade over time, the question is, okay, am I going to hold on to this, or am I going to risk this continuing to float against me? Unfortunately. Back to UPST, what's happening there? Yeah, it looks like it's spiked up, but this is another thing we need to watch, guys. The volume on UPST kind of dying down now, guys. Only about, still decent volume, actually. I take that back. Decent volume, but you really wanted to hit these levels within the first 5 or so minutes of the earnings being released. And it looks like Lyft is unfortunately just sitting there at my secondary level. At this point, what I'd probably do is just put a trailing stop, right? Let's say you got in and then you added to the position. You'd be out of the money right now about 2%, right, on this trade. But putting a trailing stop to see if we can get a continued move higher. If you got in at that more standard level on Lyft, you'd be basically flat to in the money, about 5 cents or so. So it looks like that level was the line in the sand. But I love this on ALAB, guys. Incredible move up into our level, then got a beautiful pullback. Could have taken about 10 to 11% on that trade. So congratulations to members of earnings levels, as Hood continues to sell after slowly popping up from that first level. All right, guys, well, that's it for me. I think I'm going to call it there, guys. A decently exciting earnings there on Hood and Lyft. If you're in those trades, I just remember, guys, watch that volume. All right. Again, my name is Lawton Ho here with Verified Investing. Gareth will be live for Trading the Close. I am unfortunately too sick to do Trading the Close today, but he'll be live in just a few minutes. And before you go, guys, I have an awesome commercial to show you. I'll see you guys later.
Earnings can move fast, and most traders react too late.
I mapped the key levels first: support, resistance, pivots, and gaps, so you're not guessing during the volatility.
Earnings Levels with Lawton Ho gives you the zones to watch before key earnings reports, delivered monthly.
Trade the levels, manage risk, stay disciplined.
VerifiedInvesting.com.